Tashi Dele, and very good afternoon. I'd first like to thank our chief guests as well as our distinguished guests, such as Dr. Agarwal as well as Ashok Gadyaji, and then my teacher, Professor Sembadorji, as well as our principal, Lara Bronstein, and of course Kimber Mirti, who has been here throughout the activity of KIBS and has been, a heart of this very activity. And then most important of all, is our dear students who have taken a lot of energy, sacrificed many things in terms of, most precious of all is actually time, which is invaluable, which once spent cannot be gained back again. And so therefore you have used up many of your precious time with great interest, with genuine interest actually, and heartfelt interest to study these precious teachings, dharmas, and particularly in the form of, in the academic form, which is such help is provided by, of course, our Mel University. For that I'm very thankful of. And of course, as each of our members already have said in their lectures, that all of this is not possible without the guidance, the blessings, of course, of our masters, that of my predecessor and of our teacher, the late Kunzi Sharma Rinpoche. It is their blessings for sure, because we all can come to, or we all can understand, we all can relate that every virtuous things, good things that happens in this life just doesn't happen by coincidence, just doesn't happen by mere luck, but actually it is a result of two things actually. One, the blessings of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and the other, our own good deeds, our own aspirations. When these two meet, then something amazing happens. And so therefore, I truly believe that all the good things that has happened in our lives, and particularly, of course, in this case, for all the students, faculties, members, administrators who have achieved this wonderful result, is definitely, an effect of those two key qualities or principles, one could say. And so, therefore, I would like to just share that personal understanding with all of you. And then I was asked to say a few words today. I hope that it will not take too long. Normally they're not so long. Now, probably, of course, there are hundreds of ways to say things. Particularly in this case, what is the aim, what is the goal of our life, one could say it very general. Or else, to be more precise, to be more particular, we can ask ourselves, what is the benefit, what is the aim of our academic education? Of course, which is inseparable from the practice of the Buddha Dharma. And so what is our aim here? So, of course, the aims have been already actually, I'm sure it must have been already quite clear in your mind in terms of both the teachers and students. Due to the, conditioned world's nature, we come in the forms of teachers and students, but at the end those of us who study, those of us who learn from our teachers, at the end, our main aim, in short, is to teach. That is the main aim. Teach, or rather one could say to share that, to pass that knowledge to others. That's the main aim. So of course, according to our modern context, or one could say modern or academic context, of course, there are countless of ways to share that knowledge. And this is what we are trying to establish here with the, invaluable support of Meva University. We are able to do that now. And after 3 years, I think we have accomplished, in great leaps and bounds. But more than that, now from a spiritual perspective, particularly from the Buddhist perspective, what I can see is that our aim is, as I said, to pass our knowledge to others, basically to our generation as well as to future generations and so on. Of course, gaining a degree, passing a form of education, of course, it's a very special occasion, just like New Year's, just like many other special occasions. But of course, at the same time, it is still quite relative, meaning that it marks an occasion, but that doesn't mean that that's the end. That there is actually a lot more steps to be taken, that needs to be taken. And so therefore, what I would like to ask of all of you, meaning everyone, meaning the students, the faculties, the administrators, the supports, every form that we have gathered here, to constantly remind ourselves that we are here to do actually great things, to benefit all sentient beings in actual meaning of the word, meaning that that we have to have great aims, that we will do our best to benefit all sentient beings in whichever way we can. And we know that in order to benefit sentient beings, the best possible way is through education, because providing education for others is invaluable. Once given, it is always with that individual. It can never be taken away. And so therefore, it's an invaluable gift. It's an invaluable, presence that we can give. And so therefore, according to our Buddhist perspective, we have to do this. We have to somehow complete our academic education in combination with actual practice, with actual meditation. Meaning that whatever we have learned, now we must try to practice them. We must try to implement them. Not just store it in our mind or in our heart as just knowledges, and that's it. But we have to somehow find a way to somehow actualize that. That's the most important part. And so therefore, of course, our team here, meaning, of course, everyone involved, in some ways, it is clear to say that, we are all beginners in a way. And so therefore, we have many other areas to discover, to learn, to study, and to see how we go forward. Every step into the future is always fresh and new, and it's a new discovery. So therefore, it's not easy to sort of somehow have a clear picture of the future. But at the same time, it's very, very exciting. We will learn as we go. But what is most important is to know that, that this is not the end at all. That from here, this is just the first step. From here, we still have to continue. We have to not only educate ourselves intellectually, but also through practice, through actual experience. And we can only do that by combining our intellectual studies and meditation. Of course, in the intellectual category, in Tibetan the word Thösam, meaning the listening and then the contemplation. These two are more or less within those two, within the intellectual studies. But Gom, which is the meditation, that is the next step. And so therefore we have to somehow find a way to sort of combine that. And so we will see how we sort of acquire that part of education, that part of experience. And so in the meantime, although you have finished one step of the degree, nevertheless I would like to encourage all of you, remind all of you to now make use of what you have learned. Like I said earlier, we have to have big aims. We have to have actually almost limitless aims, but at the same time, in terms of actualizing that aim, we have to go one step at a time. So now we have taken the first step already. Now there are many other more steps, So therefore, in reality, somehow we cannot really afford to deviate from having taken the first step. Now we have to think about the next step. And so therefore, the next step could be, of course, individually, karmically, it's different. So therefore, maybe some of us might contribute in forms of teaching, some through further more studies, some through meditation, and many other ways, of course. But somehow, whatever energy that we have invested in, we have to make good use of it. That's the most important thing. Otherwise, all that time that you have spent, all that energy that you have spent goes to waste. So therefore, I would like to ask all of you to consider those points, yes, because I feel that those are quite essential. But besides that, of course, today is a very special day, special occasion, and I would like to say nothing more than congratulations. And I rejoice in your discovery, in your learning, and I hope that you'll meet with all the right conditions, circumstances, favorable circumstances, in the form of course, longevity, and as Mr. Gadia said, prosperity as well. Of course, as we live in this world, in this conditioned existence, prosperity is something that we cannot do without, because we have a conditioned existence, conditioned body, conditioned, even our mind to some extent is quite conditioned, and so therefore somehow we have to nurture it. But because of what we have learned here, that somehow we have to nurture this mind, nurture this body with wisdom, with compassion. Just because we are all spiritual doesn't mean that every one of us must enter a cave and start meditating and abandon everything. That most of us, somehow have to accept where we come from, where we are, and whatever destination we might go to, step by step, on a daily basis almost. Of course, we can plan the future in terms of the next week, next month, next years, next 10 years and 20 years, which is good if you can do it professionally. But often we will plan the future weeks and months, with conditioned mind, in a way, or with emotions, one could say. And because we do that, then somehow there's a risk of losing our goal. So therefore, we must take these steps on a daily basis if one can, which is easier to sum up, and easier to somehow more realistic to plan. And so, therefore, I would like to ask all of you to go about all kinds of endeavors. In this case, as I said, prosperity also, with compassion, with wisdom. Compassion, if I say a little bit here, meaning that, of course, at the end, what we all want to achieve is the compassion that Buddha Shakyamuni and all other Buddhas have achieved, the unconditional compassion, which is encompassing all sentient beings. But of course, that should be our aim. But nevertheless, can we do this right now? Realistically, maybe not. There's a big question there. In fact, if you try to continue with that same large aim, as one of our colleagues said, it becomes very stressful. So therefore, I think the first step is, in a way, it might sound a little bit strange, but the thing is, we have to have compassion for ourselves first, meaning somehow loving oneself in a way, which might sound very strange. But it's true that we have to find a way to respect oneself. Actually, loving oneself means respecting oneself. We have to find a way to see one's own qualities, see one's own identity. And the more we do that, of course, that can only be done through intellectual studies and meditation. Yes. So through these two sort of processes, and then we will come to understand our own identity, our own nature, or our own quality. And as a result, we will be able to automatically develop respect for oneself. So much so that at some point we will feel that emotions and karmic or habitual patterns, they are beneath us. We are above them. And we will not let ourselves be tainted by them, because I'm good, because I'm pure. And in that way, one will gain respect for oneself, and I think that's the first step to actually actualizing the unconditioned compassion. So therefore, that's how I think we have to practice the unconditioned compassion of the Buddhas. And learning, meaning both education and meditation, those are automatic wisdom, meaning that every step of the way, whatever knowledge we gain, we pick, they all will result to actually a pool of timeless wisdom. And it is through these two combinations that we will be able to actually make actually beneficial and virtuous use of whatever prosperity we gain in the form of, material actually prosperity, such as good health, good livelihood, good economy, everything that we can think of in life, yeah? Then we will be able to engage with all of these materialistic wealths, or basically wealths, in a very harmonious way, in a healthy way, and not feel contradicted that just because I'm spiritual, somehow I have to distance myself from, utilizing the conditioned wealth. If we are able to actually understand more and more of the quality of compassion and wisdom, then we will be able to find the art of actually utilizing all forms of wealth. Now, maybe you all can feel where I'm going with this. So then there is inner wealth, so to speak, So therefore, and that's what I would like to say here. And once again, now, thank you so much for all your time and energy. The collaboration with the Mara University has been a great support, which I will personally always treasure in my heart. And beside that, all of our valuable administrators who have worked and toiled for all these years is also something that I will also never forget and treasure in my heart also. Each and every part of the administrators have really toiled themselves endlessly. And of course, although I have not been with you day by day on a daily basis to experience all of those, but nevertheless, I can imagine the hardship, I can imagine the stress. So, and therefore I really appreciate, and it is, it is how do I say this? It comes with great reluctance, one could say, to also to now know that many of you will be departing from here, such as students, members, administrators. But I make aspirations and prayers, and that we will all come together sooner rather than later to do great things. Yeah. So thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Tashi Dili, Dhanibad.